What if the next 5 minutes changed the way you see the next 20 years of your life? Imagine waking up tomorrow with a quiet certainty that you will no longer waste your time. You will no longer throw words you don't mean into the air, and you will no longer let opportunities slip through your fingers. Has this ever happened to you? You look back on a conversation and think, if only I'd chosen better words. You scroll through your day and realize how easily time dissolved into distraction. You remember a chance you didn't take and how different things might be if you had. Today, we begin by facing a simple, powerful truth. 3 things never return: time, words, and opportunity. And yet, those 3 forces silently shape your future, your confidence, and your success. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Here's the paradox. The people who criticize you from behind are often confirming that you are already ahead. If you've ever felt the sting of gossip, the whisper of doubt, or the subtle dismissal of your ambition, remember, progress attracts noise. What you're about to discover might surprise you. When you move with intention, when you protect your attention, and when you speak with clarity, the world starts rearranging around your choices. This is not about being perfect. It's about being precise. Precision with your time, precision with your words, precision with the opportunities you choose and the ones you let go. Consider how a single phrase can redirect an entire day. Words are not just sounds. They are decisions. Say later often enough, and your goals turn to fog. Say yes too quickly, and your energy scatters. Say nothing when courage is needed, and the door closes. On the other hand, one strong sentence spoken at the right moment can open a path you didn't know existed. Stay with me until the end, because we're going to reframe the way you speak to yourself, to your work, and to the distractions that drag you backward. Time is the great equalizer. Attention is the great separator. Most people don't fail for lack of talent. They leak their hours into trivial battles. They waste mornings defending their worth to people who have already decided not to see it. They trade opportunity for approval and wonder why progress is slow. If you've felt this, you're not alone. The fact that critics talk behind you is the clearest signal you're not standing behind them. Keep moving. Let your results answer their questions. Here's the mindset shift. Treat time as a non-refundable currency. Guard your mornings like prime real estate. Choose words that build, not burn. And when opportunity knocks softly, because it rarely shouts open the door before your doubts do. Has this ever happened to you? A small invite, a short message, an unexpected connection, and you delayed only to watch someone else step through the very space that was meant for you. Opportunity loves decisiveness. Growth follows momentum. So as we step into this journey together, I invite you to make a quiet promise. From this moment, your time will be intentional. Your words will carry weight, and your opportunities will meet a prepared mind. Engage with what resonates. If a line cuts deep, pause and write it down. If a challenge appears, lean toward it. What you feed grows focus, discipline, resilience, and what you starve fades approval seeking, self-doubt, hesitation. If you're someone who values content that inspires reflection and transformation, make sure to subscribe now. That way, you'll always have these insights waiting for you, ready to guide, motivate, and help you grow whenever you need them most. What you are about to learn is simple to understand and powerful to apply. And the first shift begins now when you stop chasing every voice around you and start listening to the one within you that already knows the next right step. In a moment, we'll break down a practical framework to reclaim your time, refine your words, and recognize the opportunities that are quietly circling your life right now. But there's one more insight you need before we move forward, and it changes everything. There's a moment in life when everything suddenly shifts, when we wake up to the realization that existence isn't a rehearsal. We don't get unlimited chances. And that's when the second life truly begins, the one where we understand we only have a single opportunity to shape our days. This awareness transforms the way we move, the choices we make, and the value we assign to every passing hour. It's the difference between drifting and deciding, between letting time slip silently away and choosing to live with intention. And here lies the hidden truth. Until you acknowledge how limited time really is, you cannot unlock the depth of its impact. Think about how often we invest energy in criticizing others, pointing out their flaws, or tearing down their work while quietly neglecting the fields we were supposed to cultivate. Has this ever happened to you? You spend more time worrying about what someone else is doing than actually building your own foundation. The irony is that energy spent on judgment never brings growth. It only weakens you. True transformation comes from looking inward, strengthening what belongs to you, and letting your own progress speak louder than any comparison. Behind the scenes, the greatest victories are often invisible at first, born from silent effort, discipline, and the courage to nurture your own ground while ignoring the noise. And then there's the weight of time's illusions. Depression drags you into the shadows of the past, chaining you to what can't be changed. Anxiety pulls you toward a future that doesn't yet exist, filling your mind with fears that might never come to pass. Peace, however, resides in the now, the only place, where decisions are real, where actions take root, and where life is actually happening. This isn't just philosophy. It's the ultimate mindset shift. By anchoring yourself in the present, you strip away regret and anticipation, discovering the clarity to act with power. The journey becomes simpler when you start to see that everything is built on awareness. Every revelation you have about yourself creates a ripple effect that reaches into your relationships, your goals, and even the way you respond to setbacks. When you live in the present, criticism from others loses its sting because you're no longer pulled into the past where it was spoken, nor trapped in the imagined future where it might echo. You stand in the moment, strong and centered, and in that state, you gain something rare: freedom. The impact of this awareness extends far beyond productivity or personal success. It changes how you love, how you listen, how you forgive. When you stop wasting energy destroying other people's fields, you reclaim the energy to heal your own. When you stop obsessing over past mistakes, you free yourself to create new possibilities. And when you release the anxiety of what may come tomorrow, you give yourself permission to actually enjoy the miracle of what is here today. This is not just about happiness, it's about power. The kind of power that comes from alignment, from clarity, and from choosing not to abandon your own path for the distractions of others. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because there's something profoundly liberating about understanding that your second life begins not with a dramatic event, but with a simple realization that the time you hold in your hands is all there is and all there needs to be. And once you grasp that, the way you think, act, and decide will never be the same again. Before we move forward, let me ask you something. If this resonates with you, write in the comments, "I'm also on this path." Put it there as a reminder for yourself and for others that you've recognized the value of this moment and are choosing to live with awareness. Every great journey, no matter how vast, begins with something so deceptively simple that most people overlook it: a single step. That first move is rarely dramatic. It's often quiet, small, almost ordinary. Yet it's in that moment that transformation is set into motion. Think about it: every invention, every masterpiece, every revolution of mindset started not with a grand leap, but with one deliberate action. The hidden truth is that we don't fail because the road is too long. We fail because we hesitate to begin. And that hesitation robs us of the very momentum that could have carried us forward. When you strip away the excuses and focus on taking just one step, the overwhelming suddenly becomes possible. That's the secret behind every lasting impact: consistency built from courage in small doses. But here's where the story gets interesting. Instead of taking those steps toward what matters, many people spend their energy creating illusions. They pretend to be happy, satisfied, fulfilled, while inside they carry a different reality. Have you ever caught yourself doing this, smiling when you don't mean it? Saying, "I'm fine," when you're not, or posting a picture that doesn't reflect your real state of mind. Behind the scenes of modern life, this performance is everywhere. We strive to convince the world we're doing well, and in truth, the effort would be better spent on becoming genuinely whole. Authenticity is not just a virtue, it's freedom. It releases you from the exhausting act of performing for others and gives you the space to build something real. And in that realness, true joy can finally take root. Pretending creates a gap between who we are and who we show to the world. The larger that gap becomes, the heavier it feels to carry. It's why so many people, even those surrounded by success and recognition, confess to a quiet emptiness. Because applause can't replace alignment, and recognition cannot heal the absence of authenticity. When you choose to drop the mask and walk your path as you are, you may lose some approval, but you gain something infinitely more valuable: peace. And peace is what gives strength to every step that follows. Curiosity then enters as the bridge between what you are and what you could become. To ask a question is to risk vulnerability, to admit that you don't know. For a moment, it may feel uncomfortable, as if you're exposing weakness. Yet this is where wisdom begins. Imagine if no one dared to question the world around them. No science, no art, no progress would exist. Every revelation in history has been born out of someone daring to ask, what if, or why not? The danger is not in the question. The danger is in silence. When you don't ask, you lock yourself in the prison of assumptions, and assumptions are the enemy of growth. The mindset shift is powerful. Embrace. Curiosity is a form of strength, not weakness. To admit you don't know is to clear space for knowledge to enter. And when you allow that, the journey of 1,000 miles no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a discovery, each question leading to a new path, each answer revealing another hidden truth about yourself and the world. Asking questions is how you break through the surface of appearances, how you uncover what lies beneath the roles, the habits, the false smiles. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the step you take today, the authenticity you choose, and the questions you dare to ask are not just random actions. They are the blueprint of the life you're building, whether you realize it or not. Each decision is carving out a direction, shaping a journey, and setting the stage for revelations you haven't yet imagined. Before moving forward, I want to leave you with something small but powerful. Write in the comments, one step forward. Let it serve as a personal reminder that even the smallest action matters, and as a sign to others that you're choosing authenticity and curiosity as part of your path. Clarity of thought is like a compass in the middle of a storm. When your mind is fogged with confusion, everything feels heavier, every step uncertain, every decision laced with doubt. But when your thinking is clear, direction appears almost naturally. This is the hidden truth about the impact of thoughts. They are not silent. They are architects. Every action you take is built upon the scaffolding of what you allow to live inside your mind. Guard it as you would guard something priceless, because behind the scenes of every success or failure is a sequence of thoughts that opened or closed the door. The transformation begins long before the action. It starts with the decision of what you choose to focus on, what you allow to expand, and what you decide to let go. It's why two people can stand at the same crossroad, look at the same horizon, and see two completely different worlds. One says, I can, and begins to move forward. The other says, I can't, and turns away. Both are right, not because reality changed, but because their belief defined their journey. Has this ever happened to you? You had the skill, the resources, even the opportunity, but your own doubts held you back. That's the quiet power of mindset. It doesn't simply influence your outcome. It decides it. Every revelation you've ever had about your potential was not about suddenly acquiring more. It was about realizing that your thoughts had been holding the keys all along. This is why cultivating a strong inner voice matters so deeply. If you constantly tell yourself the story of impossibility, you'll act as though the door is locked even when it's wide open. But if you train your mind to speak the language of possibility, Every obstacle becomes a challenge, not a wall. The impact of this shift is enormous because it redefines the way you interpret failure. Instead of proof that you can't, failure becomes evidence that you tried, and trying is the only path to mastery. That's the hidden structure behind every great achievement. The courage to keep stepping, guided by thoughts that empower rather than paralyze. Yet, in the middle of this personal journey, it's tempting to look outward instead of inward. We become quick to notice the flaws in others, to criticize their mistakes, to analyze their choices as if we were appointed judges. But here's the paradox. The more time you spend pointing at someone else's weaknesses, the less time you have to transform your own. Have you noticed how easy it is to comment on another person's behavior while quietly ignoring your own patterns? The truth is, judgment is often a disguise for avoidance. It distracts us from the work we must do on ourselves. Real strength isn't in exposing the cracks in others. It's in repairing the fractures within. When you choose self-reflection over judgment, something remarkable happens. Your energy shifts from destruction to creation. Instead of wasting it on criticizing what you can't control, you invest it into shaping who you can become. And that investment compounds over time, creating a different presence, a different energy, a different life. It's not about pretending to be flawless. It's about committing to growth. Every time you silence the impulse to criticize and instead ask, what can I improve in myself right now? You're rewriting the story of your character. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because the connection between clarity, belief, and self-awareness is more than just personal advice. It's the foundation of transformation. The mindset you choose creates ripples that affect not only your own life, but also the people around you, the opportunities you attract, and the way your future unfolds. Every decision of thought is a decision of destiny. And before we continue, I want you to anchor this idea in your own life. Write in the comments, clarity creates action. By doing so, you'll remind yourself that your thoughts are not just invisible whispers. They are the blueprint of every step you'll take from here. Hatred is often mistaken for strength, as if holding on to anger somehow makes us powerful. But the hidden truth is that hate is nothing more than proof of defeat. When you hate, you hand control of your emotions, your peace, and even your decisions over to something outside yourself. It poisons your focus and clouds your judgment, chaining you to battles that exist more in your mind than in reality. Letting go of hate is not about excusing what was done. It's about reclaiming the space inside you that deserves to be filled with clarity, resilience, and growth. The real victory is internal choosing, not to let bitterness dictate your future. Transformation begins the moment you stop carrying that unnecessary weight. And then comes the fragile, yet essential, element of trust. To distrust a true friend is far more damaging than to be deceived by one, because distrust corrodes from within. It plants seeds of suspicion that grow until they isolate you, cutting you off from the very bonds that give meaning to life. Relationships thrive on the unseen currents of trust, on the belief that someone stands with you even when no one is watching. Yes, betrayal hurts, but constant suspicion starves connection long before betrayal ever arrives. The impact of trust cannot be overstated. It's the foundation on which every deep human bond rests. And when you choose trust over suspicion, you are not being naive. You are being courageous enough to allow intimacy, loyalty, and love to flourish. Behind the scenes of every enduring friendship and every lasting partnership is not perfection, but trust that is renewed over and over again. Life, however, is not only about trust and openness. Sometimes it is about strategy, timing, and knowing how to navigate the unpredictable terrain of human behavior. To appear weak when you are strong, or strong when you are weak, is not hypocrisy. It is wisdom. Strategy has always been a game of perception. History is filled with stories where victories were achieved not by force, but by the careful art of deception. The hidden truth here is that the way others perceive you can either trap you or liberate you. Knowing when to conceal your strength protects you from unnecessary attacks. Knowing when to show Vulnerability can open doors to understanding that sheer power never could. This doesn't mean living a life of manipulation. It means recognizing that human interactions are layered, complex, and often influenced by appearances. To master this is to master balance, revealing enough to connect, withholding enough to protect, and timing each move with the awareness that not every truth must be visible at once. It's a reminder that transformation isn't only internal, it also lies in how you position yourself in the world. Every decision you make about what to reveal and what to conceal shapes the journey you're on, shaping outcomes in ways you might not see immediately, but that ripple with lasting consequences. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because understanding how to free yourself from hate, how to nurture trust, and how to wisely use strategy is not just philosophy. It's a roadmap to strength that doesn't break under pressure. It's about learning how to walk through life with both an open heart and a sharp mind, prepared for both connection and challenge, knowing when to step forward with softness and when to stand firm with power. And before we continue, let me leave you with a thought to anchor this part. Write in the comments, "Strength with wisdom." It will serve as a reminder that real power is not about crushing others. It's about knowing yourself, protecting your peace, and moving with intelligence on your own journey. There's something profoundly liberating about realizing that the people who truly stand by you are not the ones who only applaud your victories, but the ones who are willing to hold a mirror to your flaws. Honest feedback stings at first because it forces us to confront the parts of ourselves we would rather ignore. But behind that discomfort lies the seed of transformation. An ally who dares to be truthful is more valuable than a crowd of admirers who only echo back what you want to hear. Think about it. Progress is not born from constant validation, but from the friction of challenge. The hidden truth is that real loyalty is not about making you comfortable. It's about helping you grow. And behind the scenes, the strongest relationships, whether in friendship, family, or leadership, are built on the courage to speak truths that may wound temporarily but heal in the long run. But what happens when we recognize the truth and fail to act on it? That is where cowardice reveals itself. Seeing clearly what must be done yet choosing silence or inaction is a quiet betrayal of your own integrity. Courage is not just about dramatic gestures or heroic decisions. It lives in the small choices you make every day, in the moments where it would be easier to stay quiet, to avoid conflict, or to look away. True transformation is born in those subtle crossroads where you either honor the truth or turn away from it. Every time you decide to act in alignment with what you know is right, you strengthen your character. Every time you don't, you weaken it. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Integrity is built in those behind-the-scenes moments when no one is watching, when the easy path whispers louder than the honest one. And still, even when you choose truth and act with courage, you will fall. That's inevitable. Failure is not a detour from the journey. It is part of the journey. What defines you is not how many times you stumble, but how many times you rise again. Glory does not live in spotless records, but in resilience. The impact of resilience goes beyond personal success. It reshapes how you see setbacks, how you define strength, how you carry yourself through storms. Every rise after a fall is a revelation that you are stronger than you believed. This is where the hidden power of resilience lies, not in avoiding pain or failure, but in using them as raw material for growth. Think of the times you've been knocked down emotionally, professionally, personally. The very act of standing back up is a declaration that you are not finished, that your story cannot be defined by a single chapter. This mindset shift changes everything. It shifts failure from being an ending into being a teacher. It reframes hardship not as punishment, but as preparation. And it builds a quiet strength that others can sense even without words. People are drawn to those who rise because resilience is magnetic. It reminds them that rising is possible for them too. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because resilience, courage, and the willingness to embrace honest feedback are not isolated qualities. They form a cycle that continuously shapes who you become. Feedback reveals the truth. Courage empowers you to act on it. Resilience allows you to keep going, even when the outcome isn't immediate. Together, they forge the kind of character that cannot be shaken by circumstances. And when you live from that place, you stop fearing the fall because you already know the strength of rising. Before moving forward, take a moment to anchor this in yourself. Write in the comments, "I choose resilience." Let it be both a reminder and a commitment that no matter how many times life brings you down, you will rise stronger each time. Trying to walk two paths at once may sound like ambition, but in reality, it's a quiet form of sabotage. Divided attention dilutes strength, and scattered focus turns even the most promising journey into a dead end. The hidden truth is that clarity of direction is worth more than limitless options. Every decision you postpone, every attempt to keep one foot here and the other there, slowly erodes your ability to make real progress. Transformation doesn't happen when you are everywhere at once. It happens when you choose a path and commit to it fully, even if that path feels uncertain at first. Behind the scenes of every great story, there was a moment of choice, and those who had the courage to pick one road discovered the impact of moving forward with conviction. But clarity doesn't mean chasing everything the world dangles in front of you. It means recognizing the value of what you already hold. Being content with your lot does not mean giving up on growth. It means understanding that happiness is not measured by accumulation, but by appreciation. In a society where comparison has become a daily ritual, it's radical to say, "What I have is enough." True wealth is not about adding more, but about realizing the worth of what's already present. Contentment is not stagnation, it's strength. Because when you are at peace with your life, envy loses its power and decisions become clearer. Think about it. When was the last time you felt gratitude so deep that it silenced the noise of wanting more? That is the kind of wealth that cannot be stolen because it doesn't live in possessions. It lives in perspective. This perspective becomes even more vital when you step into leadership, because people follow not just your words, but your example. A leader who commands with force may achieve compliance, but never true loyalty. Leadership that inspires is born out of action, not authority. It's in the way you handle setbacks, the way you treat people when no one is watching, the way you remain consistent with your values even when it costs you something. True leaders don't have to shout. They embody the message so clearly that others want to follow. The hidden truth about influence is that it doesn't come from control. It comes from alignment between what you say and what you do. Behind the scenes of every powerful movement, every meaningful transformation, there was someone who led not by imposing their will, but by living their truth. People are drawn to authenticity. They can sense when leadership is genuine and when it's just a mask. And the impact of that authenticity is immense. It creates trust, ignites passion, and fosters resilience in those who follow. To lead by example is to light a path that others can walk with confidence, not because they were forced to, but because they were inspired to. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the connection between focus, contentment, and leadership is far stronger than it appears on the surface. Focus gives you direction, contentment gives you peace, and leadership multiplies both by extending their influence to others. Together, they form a foundation not only for personal success, but for a legacy that lasts. And when you see how these qualities shape one another, you begin to understand that the real journey is not just about reaching a destination. It's about becoming the kind of person others want to follow along the way. Before we continue, I want you to anchor this reflection with a simple gesture. Write in the comments, "I choose clarity." By doing so, you're reminding yourself that divided paths lead nowhere, and that real transformation begins when you walk forward with focus, gratitude, and the quiet strength of leading by example. Even the strongest sword, forged in fire and sharpened to perfection, will eventually rust if left in salt water. It doesn't matter how fine the craftsmanship or how great its potential. Without care, its edge will dull and its brilliance will fade. Strength is not something we achieve once and then keep forever. It's something we must preserve. This applies to the body, the mind, and the spirit. Think of discipline, focus, resilience. These qualities corrode when neglected. The hidden truth is that neglect is not passive. It actively unravels what you've built. Behind the scenes of every downfall is not always a lack of talent, but the failure to maintain it. Transformation demands constant attention, because the very forces that once protected you can weaken if you stop nourishing them. And yet, in the very moments where it feels like everything is falling apart, there are often doors that only open during chaos. Opportunity is rarely wrapped neatly. It usually hides in confusion, struggle, or crisis. History is full of revelations born in moments of disorder, innovations sparked during collapse. Resilience discovered in the ashes of failure, breakthroughs emerging when comfort was stripped away. Chaos tests us, but it also reveals the parts of ourselves we didn't know were there. The impact of hardship is twofold. It exposes weakness, but it also uncovers hidden strength. If you can train your eyes to look past the noise and see the chance embedded in struggle, you transform what others run from into what propels you forward. The journey is never smooth, but it is precisely the rough terrain that sharpens you into someone capable of carrying greater victories. Still, when storms rise, emotions often surge with them. Anger, in particular, is like fire, capable of providing light and warmth when contained, but capable of burning everything when unleashed without thought. When anger arises, the most powerful tool you have is not the reaction itself, but the pause before it. That pause is where decisions are made, where self-control preserves not only your peace, but also the future you're building. The consequences of acting in anger ripple far longer than the moment of heat. How many times have words spoken in fury left scars that outlasted the argument? How many actions taken in haste created regrets that couldn't be undone? Self-control is not suppression. It is mastery. It is choosing to direct your energy instead of being directed by it. And here's the hidden truth. Controlling yourself in moments of anger is not weakness. It is strength of the highest order. Anyone can explode. Few can hold their fire and use it to forge something constructive. The decisions made in that state of composure often determine the quality of relationships, the trajectory of careers, and the legacy of character. Behind the scenes of every strong leader, every wise parent, every grounded individual, there are countless silent victories over impulses that never made it into words or actions. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because the connection between preservation, opportunity, and self-control forms the backbone of true transformation. Preserving strength ensures you remain sharp for the battles ahead. Recognizing opportunity in chaos allows you to turn struggle into growth. And controlling anger transforms moments of potential destruction into revelations of character. Together, they create a mindset that doesn't just endure life, it shapes it. Before moving forward, anchor this reflection in your own mind. Write in the comments, "I choose mastery." Let it be a reminder that strength is not only in what you can do, but in what you choose to hold back, protect, and transform along the journey. To truly understand another person, especially someone you perceive as an opponent, you must be willing to step into their perspective. To know your enemy, you must, in some way, become them. This doesn't mean adopting their values or justifying their actions, but rather learning to see through their eyes, to understand the decisions that shape them, the fears that drive them, and the hidden truths that influence their behavior. This shift in mindset transforms conflict into clarity, because once you grasp how someone thinks, you can anticipate their moves, their weaknesses, and even their strengths. The impact of this awareness extends beyond competition. It reshapes relationships, negotiations, and leadership. Behind the scenes of every strategy that succeeded was someone who took the time to understand not just their own position, but the mindset of those across from them. But there's another layer to this. If you are always the smartest person in the room, then you're limiting your own growth. Intelligence, talent, and wisdom thrive when they are challenged, not when they are left to dominate without opposition. The hidden truth is that comfort can masquerade as success, tricking you into believing you've reached a summit when, In fact, you've only built walls around yourself. Surrounding yourself with people who are stronger, sharper, or more experienced than you is not a threat. It's an invitation. These are the rooms where transformation happens, where your own ideas are tested, where your mindset is stretched, and where revelations appear that you could never reach on your own. If everyone around you agrees with you, you're not leading, you're standing still. Growth requires friction, and friction requires stepping into environments that humble you. This humility connects directly to opportunity. Opportunities are not static. They are alive, multiplying when they are seized and vanishing when they are ignored. Every action you take opens a door to more actions, creating a ripple effect you can't fully predict at the start. That's the hidden truth about momentum. It rewards decisiveness. Think about it. How many times have you hesitated, waiting for the hesitated perfect moment, only to see the chance slip away? And how often has a single small decision led to a chain of unexpected possibilities you never saw coming? The journey of opportunity is not about luck. It's about motion. The more you move, the more the universe responds, revealing paths that would have remained invisible had you stayed still. Behind the scenes, the most impactful journeys often started not with certainty, but with courage. The decision to act without knowing every outcome is what multiplies options, while hesitation narrows them. That's why opportunities often favor the bold, not because boldness guarantees success, but because boldness guarantees movement, and movement creates impact. The hidden truth is that opportunity is not something you wait for. It's something you expand by daring to step forward. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you combine these three forces, understanding perspectives, seeking challenge, and seizing opportunities, you create a cycle of transformation that keeps unfolding. Perspective sharpens your strategy, challenge stretches your potential, and action multiplies your chances. Together, they form a mindset that doesn't just survive circumstances, but actively shapes them, turning what could have been obstacles into revelations of strength and direction. And to anchor this reflection, I'd like you to leave a reminder for yourself in the comments. Write, "I choose growth." Let it stand as proof that you're ready to seek challenge, embrace new perspectives, and move decisively toward the opportunities waiting to multiply in your journey. The brightest smiles often hide the heaviest shadows. How many times have you looked at someone who seemed full of joy, laughter, and light, only to later discover they were carrying a pain so deep it was invisible to the outside world? The hidden truth is that appearances can rarely be trusted as the full picture. Behind the scenes of a cheerful face, there may be sleepless nights, quiet battles, or silent questions that never get voiced. This is why compassion is never wasted. A gentle word, a patient ear, or even a simple acknowledgement can have an impact far greater than you realize. Showing kindness doesn't just ease the burden of others. It also shapes your own journey, reminding you that true strength lies in connection rather than judgment. And part of that compassion must also be directed inward. When I let go of who I think I am, I make space to become who I might be. So many people cling tightly to an identity, a label, or a story they once told themselves about their place in the world. But transformation demands release. You cannot step into the person you are becoming while holding on too fiercely to the person you once were. The rigid self-identity acts like an anchor, keeping you tied to an outdated version of yourself. Growth requires a willingness to let go, to risk stepping into the unknown, to embrace the revelation that you are not fixed, you are unfolding. This is not weakness. It is courage of the highest order. Behind the scenes of every personal reinvention is the quiet decision to release what no longer fits, to surrender certainty in exchange for possibility. Yet this process is not about dramatic reinventions overnight. Moving mountains begins with carrying small stones. The grand vision you hold for yourself, the impact you want to create, the transformation you long for, it will not appear fully formed. It begins in the small, consistent actions you repeat daily. The world is filled with people waiting for the perfect moment to take one massive step, but the hidden truth is that change doesn't come from one step. It comes from thousands of small ones, taken with persistence and faith. Every mountain that seems immovable is moved this way stone by stone, action by action, moment by moment. The journey might feel slow, almost invisible at times, but the accumulation of those small acts is what builds momentum and eventually shapes destiny. Think about how this pattern mirrors life itself. The smile that hides sadness is a reminder that what we see is not always what is true. The release of identity shows us that who we are today is not who we must remain tomorrow. And the act of carrying small stones teaches us that consistency outweighs intensity. Together, these lessons weave a hidden blueprint of transformation, compassion for others, courage to let go of what no longer serves, and discipline to act even when results are not immediate. These three forces combined create a mindset that quietly reshapes your life behind the scenes until one day the shift is undeniable. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because when you connect compassion, release, and persistence, you uncover a rhythm of growth that can carry you through every stage of your journey. This rhythm is what transforms struggles into opportunities, limitations into lessons, and small actions into monumental change. It's the revelation that nothing is wasted, not the hidden sadness, not the letting go, not even the smallest step forward. Each piece is part of the larger story that is still being written. Before we continue, I want you to mark this reflection for yourself. Write in the comments, stone by stone. Let it be your reminder that great change is not sudden, but built gradually through compassion, release, and persistence, one action at a time. The world often celebrates brute strength, the ability to push harder, stand taller, and dominate with sheer force. But if you look closely at the hidden truths of nature and history, you'll notice that it is not always the strongest who endure, it is those who adapt. The tree that bends in the storm survives, while the rigid one snaps. Water flows around obstacles, and in time, shapes even the hardest stone. Weakness, when paired with flexibility, often reveals itself as a disguised form of strength. Adaptability is not about surrendering. It's about transforming resistance into opportunity. Behind the scenes of resilience lies a quiet wisdom, the willingness to shift, to adjust, to move in directions that brute force alone could never achieve. Transformation belongs not to the unyielding, but to the adaptable. And part of that transformation demands truth, even when it stings. True words are not always pleasant, and pleasant words are not always true. Yet in a world saturated with comfort and validation, honesty has become rare. To seek truth is to accept discomfort as the price of growth. The impact of honesty is not always immediate. It can feel sharp, even unwelcome, but over time, it becomes the foundation for trust, clarity, and real progress. Think about the times when someone told you a difficult truth. Perhaps in the moment it hurt, but later you recognized it as the catalyst that shifted your path. Comfort soothes, but truth transforms. That is the hidden revelation we often resist. The words we most want to avoid are often the very ones we need to hear. This leads to another subtle trap, the pursuit of praise. To live for the approval of others is to become their prisoner. The applause may feel intoxicating, but it chains your self-worth to the shifting opinions of people who do not carry your journey. Freedom lies in self-validation, in the courage to stand firm in your choices without needing constant affirmation. Behind the scenes, many who appear successful are exhausted because their every step is dictated by the need for approval. They've traded authenticity for applause, only to discover that the applause is never enough. Real strength emerges when you validate yourself, when you no longer depend on external recognition to confirm your value. That kind of freedom cannot be bought. It can only be claimed through courage and self-trust. Notice how these three truths weave into one another. Adaptability teaches you that strength is not about resistance, but about movement. Honesty reminds you that growth is not about comfort, but about facing reality head-on. And self-validation liberates you from the prison of applause, giving you the clarity to walk your path without chains. Together, they form a mindset that is unshakable, a way of living that transforms not only how you endure challenges, but how you shape your destiny. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because adaptability, honesty, and freedom from approval are not isolated qualities. They are revelations that redefine the journey, shifting your perspective from survival to mastery. When you learn to bend without breaking, to accept truth without denial, and to walk without waiting for applause, you uncover a hidden strength that is both quiet and unstoppable. Before we move forward, anchor this thought for yourself. Write in the comments, "I choose truth." Let it serve as a reminder that your path is not defined by applause or appearances, but by adaptability, honesty, and the freedom to validate your own journey. There is a kind of wisdom that doesn't need to shout. If your words are not better than silence, it is silence that holds the greater strength. Restraint is not weakness. It is discipline. In a world overflowing with noise, endless opinions, and constant commentary, the rarest and most powerful act is choosing not to add to the chaos. Behind the scenes of many regrets are words spoken too quickly, too sharply, without the filter of reflection. Silence, however, carries weight. It allows space for understanding, for observation, and for truth to emerge without interference. Transformation often begins not in the words we speak, but in the pauses we allow. This connects deeply with the golden rule, the timeless wisdom of treating others as you yourself wish to be treated. At first glance, it seems simple, almost obvious, but the hidden truth is that few people actually live by it. When we hurt, we justify hurting back. When we fear, we justify controlling others. Yet if you trace the impact of your actions, you will see that every decision creates a ripple. Acting with the same care you would want for yourself builds bonds that last far beyond immediate gain. The journey toward integrity is nothing more than living this principle consistently, even when it's difficult. Compassion is not a weakness. It is a strength that multiplies. Every time you hold yourself accountable to this rule, you choose transformation over reaction, alignment over impulse. And here's where perspective expands even further. To shape the future, you must study the past. History is not just a collection of distant stories. It is a mirror reflecting patterns that repeat in different forms. The hidden revelations of tomorrow are often buried in yesterday's mistakes and victories. If you want to understand the impact of your current decisions, look behind the scenes of those who walked before you. They left clues, warnings, and blueprints. Transformation is not about reinventing everything. It is about recognizing the lessons already written in time and applying them with wisdom. The past whispers truths about cycles of growth and decay, of resilience and collapse, and if you listen closely, you will see how your own journey fits into this larger rhythm. Silence teaches you presence. The golden rule teaches you compassion. History teaches you perspective. These three together create a mindset that moves you from reaction into intention. They remind you that wisdom is not about knowing everything, but about choosing carefully when to speak, how to act, and what to learn from what has already been lived. This is the kind of inner foundation that allows you to stand firm when life feels uncertain, because you're no longer drifting blindly. You're guided by principles that outlast trends, noise, and temporary distractions. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when silence, compassion, and perspective converge, they give rise to clarity. Clarity in your decisions, clarity in your relationships, and clarity in the direction of your life. This clarity is what transforms hesitation into action and confusion into vision. And it all begins with the humility to listen, the courage to care, and the wisdom to learn. Before moving forward, anchor this in your own reflection. Write in the comments, "Clarity through wisdom." Let it be both a reminder and a declaration that you are choosing restraint, compassion, and perspective as guiding forces in your journey. It is easy to love those who stand by your side, who comfort you, who celebrate your victories. But the true test of character is not found in the warmth of friendship. It is found in how you treat your adversaries. To show compassion to someone who has wronged you feels almost unnatural, as though kindness might weaken your stance. Yet the hidden truth is that forgiveness is not about the other person. It is about freeing yourself. Hatred chains you to the conflict, while compassion releases you. This does not mean accepting abuse or abandoning justice. It means refusing to let bitterness define your journey. The impact of this shift is profound because when you learn to extend compassion where it is hardest, you discover a strength far greater than revenge could ever offer. Behind the scenes of peace lies the quiet courage of those who chose understanding over resentment. But compassion alone is not enough if it stays as theory. Knowledge, no matter how brilliant, is like treasure locked in a chest. It holds potential, but no impact until it is used. Practice is the key that unlocks wisdom, turning ideas into transformation. Think about how often people collect information, read endlessly, listen to lessons, yet never put them into action. They confuse knowing with growing, forgetting that change is born in movement, not in contemplation alone. The journey from knowledge to wisdom requires that you take what you've learned and apply it, even in small, imperfect steps. That is where the revelations happen, not in the safety of thought, but in the risks of practice. This is why passion matters so deeply. When you choose work you love, the line between effort and joy dissolves. Passion transforms labor into something far greater than obligation. It becomes expression. It doesn't mean every day will be easy or that challenges disappear. It means the energy fueling you comes from within, not from external pressure. The hidden truth is that passion is not just about doing what excites you. It's about aligning with something meaningful enough to carry you through the inevitable difficulties. Behind the scenes of every great achievement is not just talent or opportunity, but the fire of passion that made persistence possible. When compassion softens your heart, practice sharpens your skills, and passion fuels your energy, you create a rhythm of life that feels both purposeful and powerful. Compassion frees you from carrying unnecessary burdens. Practice ensures you are always moving forward, and passion gives joy to the journey itself. Together, these qualities reshape your mindset, revealing that strength is not found in force or accumulation, but in how you live daily with openness, discipline, and love for the work that reflects who you truly are. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the intersection of compassion, practice, and passion is not just a philosophy. It is the foundation of transformation. This is where hidden truths about character and fulfillment emerge. When you can show kindness to those who oppose you, act on what you know, and commit to a path that brings you alive, you begin to live not just a life of survival, but a life of impact. Before we move forward, I want to leave you with a reminder. Write in the comments, passion in practice. Let it serve as both an affirmation and a challenge to turn your knowledge into action, to fill your work with meaning, and to let compassion guide you, even when it feels most difficult. Life has a way of presenting itself in its purest form, simple and unpretentious. Yet we are the ones who tangle it, weaving layers of unnecessary complexity through comparison, expectation, and the endless pursuit of what we think we lack. The hidden truth is that peace doesn't come from adding more, but from subtracting what weighs us down. Simplicity is not emptiness, it is clarity. It is the recognition that many of the things we chase are distractions, keeping us from noticing the quiet beauty of what is already here. When you strip life back to its essence, you discover that joy is often found in the smallest details, in moments of presence, in the absence of excess noise. Transformation begins when you stop complicating what was never meant to be complex and start allowing life to be lived with lightness and presence. But simplicity does not mean passivity. At its core, the greatest victories are not external achievements, but internal conquests. To win against yourself, to conquer fear, doubt, procrastination, resentment, that is the highest form of courage. The world often teaches us to measure strength by what we dominate outside of us, but the foundation of true strength lies within. The battles fought in silence, behind the scenes of everyday life, are the ones that shape character most deeply. Every time you silence the voice of self-sabotage, every time you rise above an old pattern, every time you refuse to let fear dictate your choices, you experience a victory more powerful than any external applause. These inner triumphs often go unseen, yet their impact radiates into everything you touch. The journey of self-mastery is one of constant revelations. It's not about erasing flaws, but about facing them with honesty and courage. When you choose to confront yourself instead of blaming circumstances or others, you shift from victim to creator. This mindset transformation allows you to see that the greatest enemy and the greatest ally both live within you. Conquering the self is not about suppression. It's about integration, aligning who you are with who you want to become. And in that alignment, a quiet confidence is born, one that no external challenge can shake. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because simplicity and self-mastery are not abstract ideals, they are practical, daily choices. Choosing simplicity means deciding what truly matters and releasing what doesn't. Choosing self-mastery means having the courage to notice your inner patterns and rewrite them before they dictate your future. Together, they form the essence of transformation, clarity in how you live, and strength in who you are becoming. This is the hidden structure behind a peaceful yet powerful life, the balance between reducing the unnecessary and facing the essential with courage. Before we move forward, take a moment to anchor this reflection for yourself. Write in the comments, "Victory within." Let it be your personal reminder that the greatest strength is not found in control over others, but in the daily decision to conquer the self and embrace the simplicity that brings true peace. If you've made it all the way here, it probably means these words resonated with something inside you. That's exactly why I invite you to subscribe, so you can keep receiving content that brings reflection, clarity, and those quiet reminders we all need along the journey. And since you stayed with me until the end, leave a comment with the phrase, "I'm with you until the end." It will be our way of recognizing one another, a small sign that this message truly connected. If you felt this conversation added value, leave your like. It's a simple way to keep this exchange alive and to strengthen the connection we've built here. And don't stop now. There's a video right here that complements this topic. Click and continue with me over there, because the journey doesn't end here. It just opens into the next step.